Welcome to the shooting show. This week, Geoff Garrett has to use all his fieldcraft to make a bag of pigeons, plus Byron Pace reviews a rifle from renowned Italian gunmakers Zoli.
The Browning is in the boot and the rope bangers are lit. That can only mean one thing. Geoff's back.
Good old rope bangers. Just a normal thing with them. We've got a little bit of ground here that we're going to be the other side, so just don't want them coming down here. So stick a little string of rope bangers up. Hopefully they'll keep them on the move while we're the other end. Well, we're back on the rape again today. We've got a field here that we shot early on in the year, but the pigeons just haven't left it alone, and they've hit it fairly hard now. As you can see, when you look at the field here, it's been absolutely annihilated by the pigeons. What we're going to try and do today, I'm watching the flight line, and they're coming down through the bottom here, and they're swinging up the middle of the field there, and there's a little patch of rape that's coming out on flower, and I'm going to try and build a hide out in the middle of the field in the bottom of the valley there, so hopefully we'll intercept them as they're coming up the field and swinging up the hill there. They'll see the decoys and not the hide and come into us and give us a nice afternoon of sport.
Setting up in the middle of the field, Geoff's got his classic hide and decoys at the ready, plus one less orthodox piece of equipment.
I found an old office chair, or my young lad did, Justin did, and being the father that I am, I commandeered it straight away because I like the look of it. But just basically, just a swivel chair. Most of the shooting is going to be done from the sitting position, but it just gives me a little bit more movement if pigeons are coming in, you know, and I can just swing round or whatever, so we'll give it a go, see what happens. Right, that's the basis of the hide. As you can see, I've tried to keep it as fairly compact as I possibly can. What I'm going to do now, I've just got a couple of bits of rape, some that have got a bit of flour on it. I'm just going to weave in just to try and blend it in with the natural surroundings, and we'll just see what we're doing, but time will tell on that side of things. First thing we've got to do is make sure the pigeons coming in the decoys.
Geoff soon crafts a realistic pattern using shot birds that is kept in the freezer for this purpose.
We'll just wait and see for the first lot to arrive and see what happens.
And with the preparations complete, we await the arrival of the woodies. It's not a long wait. The draw of the rape field is so strong that they can't keep away, even for a few minutes.
On there, look, what's he doing? He's coming in, look, they're coming on there. Yeah, I got from the left again, right, I mean. Just there. Coming back in again, there's some coming out from the left. No, two. Yeah, John. Yep. Still coming. Still coming. He's coming in nice.
Some good shooting swells the bag early on, and with large numbers of the pests circling overhead, we know we could be on for a lot more. Geoff takes the opportunity to add some of the fallen to the decoy pattern, overturning the birds that fell on their backs and adding a few bouncers to the setup. Then it's time to grab another handful of Eley shells and get back to the shooting. For a moment all's quiet, and then normal service is resumed. It's not the busiest decoying session we've ever seen, but a slow and steady influx of pigeons means Geoff is kept busy, taking out one after the other. One bird starts to decoy in, only to turn away at the last second. Then another does exactly the same. We sense a bit of frustration beginning to creep in, but at the third time of asking, Geoff finally gets the chance to make a shot count. That's another crop raider on the ground, followed swiftly by another.
Yep.
The bag is growing nicely now as Geoff gets a few more chances to put his Browning semi-auto to good use. Is that a smile we can see on Geoff's face?
Got that one.
We know we won't hit the 100 today. There just haven't been enough birds. But 50 is nevertheless a good innings, and it all counts towards the crucial cause of crop protection. It's time to pack up and count the pigeons.
Right, that's it for another day. We've just packed up. We've picked up 56. There's one or two that I can't go and look for, but we've picked 56 up. It's been a challenging day. With the location of the field, the only possibility of coming on here was to do what we've done, which was to try and build a hide in the middle of the field, which it has worked, but it was very difficult. I built my hide and then found that with James, the cameraman, who was trying to film behind me, they were spotting him to start with, so I had to build another hide behind my hide so we could hide James up as well as hide me up as well. So if the pigeons were high, they could see into the hide straight away and were seeing me straight away. But the ones that come low, up the valley and below the hide, were coming in, decoying in really well. So it was a tale of sort of 2 days really. All in all, it's not been too bad a day, but like I say, it's frustrating because you've got the pigeons were coming in and just getting to the edge of the pattern, just when you're thinking about getting up and shooting, and then they just slowly sort of like drifting away. They weren't shying away, they were just slowly drifting away. So, but as I knew right from the start, it was going to be a challenging day, but I've enjoyed it. Killed a few good ones, missed a few. Brownings worked well today. So have the Eley cartridges. So all in all, I'm going home a happy man.
Some vital crop protection in practice there. And now, the shooting show news.
This is the shooting show news. We've had the first look at Eley Hawk's new cartridges. Unveiled at an exclusive dealer event hosted by Viking Arms, the First Select and Pigeon Select are big news for club shooters and gamekeepers.
We've got 2 new products to show the dealers that have turned up this weekend. First is the new First Select, which is going to replace the original First, which has been around now and is very familiar with many shooters for several years. It now changed the colour of the case to a white case, still 67mm, available in both plastic and fibre, 21, 24 and 28 gram. We've increased the head to a 12mm head, and we've got totally new packaging. Again, new box, 30 gram, new pigeon load. Originally it was available in 30, 32 and was a 67mm. This new one is available again in 30 gram only, 6 shot, and is plastic and fibre. Both of these are extremely affordable. This, we believe, will be the most affordable British-made cartridge available in the UK this year. The demand has been extremely high, and we've had to put on an extra shift just to keep up with supply. They'll be going out, we sent the first few out this week, and we've got a load more going out next week.
The invitation-only dealer day at Broughton Hall saw manufacturers, retailers and press united for an introduction to a host of new shooting products and the chance to test a few out on the range. Among the highlights were the new Merkel shotguns, Hainel rifles and a new accessory that's perfect for stalkers, shown to us on a Ruger American.
The accessory I'd like to show you, which is fitted to the Ruger American, is the new tree hugger system from designed and manufactured in Finland. We've only just taken receipt of this product. It's a brand new product. It operates like a straightforward standard sling, and we can put it over and carry it as we would a traditional rifle. If we're doing some woodland stalking or any kind of stalking where we want hands free and we want a bit more stability, we have the option then just to unclip the system basically by squeezing in the 2 elements at the side. That releases it from the section there, and basically this is personal to the shooter. He just adjusts this within a couple of seconds to get the comfort. So you can be moving around with the product, still give you access to your binos, and especially scrambling through woodlands, up banks, down banks, you've also got that safety element as well. From this position and getting into the shooting position, we can just simply unclip and then bring the rifle to bear. There's infinite amount of slots within the strap, and there's a maximum amount of adjustment there, an elasticated element to allow you to fix it to the tree in that respect. You present it, you fix it to the tree, you've got an extra stability, take your shot, and then from there just remove it and then carry on with your shoot.
Also at the event was Marocchi, an Italian shotgun brand you could be seeing a lot more of in the future.
Marocchi produce semi-autos and over and under in Italy since 1922. So what is very important for us is the production and the quality of the production. Being an Italian manufacturer, we care about this and about the service that we guarantee to our customer. I would like to present you an over and under, especially. Model first is our game over and under, aluminum made. The receiver is CNC milled from aluminum, 12 gauge, 5 chokes included, 1,000 pounds retail, VAT included. because we build it with the objective to produce the first over and under for a new hunter, for a new shooter, also for a lady, because it is very light, very fast on aim and easy to carry, also on a long walking day.
Get your place at the Clay Shooting Classic booked now. There's only 5 weeks to go until this unmissable event, which takes place from the 24th to the 27th of June. Hosted by the Clay Shooting Company's Steve and Alison Lovett for the second year at Windrush Shooting Ground, the Classic promises a challenging but entertaining 150 bird sporting course, with at least 50% to be shot on virgin turf. And there's a prize fund worth £35,000 up for grabs, with prizes in every class and category, including cash, Zoli and hats and shotguns, Shadit cartridges, clothing and more. Head to www.theclayshootingcompany.com and enter now. There's a new scientific initiative to fight poaching in Kenya. The country's wildlife service has opened a forensic laboratory to build evidence against suspected poachers, ensuring that cases against them don't collapse. It's the second facility of its kind, alongside one in South Africa. About 100 rhino have been poached in Kenya in the last 3 years. Repeal of the Hunting Act could be back on the political agenda. Tory Minister Jeremy Hunt confirmed that the government planned to introduce a free vote on fox hunting in the House of Commons. They promised the same thing 5 years ago, but the vote never took place. But with no coalition to contend with, hunting fans reckon there's a larger chance of the vote making it to Parliament this time around. Shooting organisations are desperately trying to reduce the impact of airgun licensing on Scottish shooters. BASC has championed a set of amendments to the bill, which could see the requirement dropped for existing holders of firearm and shotgun licences, and less strict regulations imposed on under-18s. BASC said it was still strongly opposed to the bill, but given its progress through Parliament, it wanted to do what it could to make it more workable for the police and for shooters. And finally, there's another stat attack from BASC. This time it's highlighting the benefits of deer stalking. According to the organisation, there are 2 million wild deer in the UK, the highest figure for 1,000 years. Deer management provides 2,500 jobs in Scotland alone, and venison is worth £170 million to the local economy. Read a host of deer stalking features every month in Sporting Rifle magazine. That was the Shooting Show news.
It's not very often that I get a chance to test an Italian rifle. They're very well known for producing shotguns, but far less so for their full-bore firearms. This is a Zoli. I tested the first Zoli probably about 2 years ago. It's brought in by importers Edgar Brothers. As a whole, it's quite an attractive rifle. It has a sort of almost an Italian flair to it. I think part of that is this lacquered stock. Now I have to admit that I'm not the biggest fan of shiny finishes on a stock, but it does look attractive. The wood is fairly nice. It's a lot deeper than a lot of the woods that you see on rifles these days. It's not a particularly fine grain. You can see some of the imperfections in there, but you know, it's nice enough. Nicely raised cheek piece here, and we'll see when I get it on the range and I get a scope on it. Lines up your eye fairly nicely to the scope if you mount it low enough, and it came with these Zoli made bases, which are very nice. Checkering, usual places, nothing fancy at all, like checkering on 99% of rifles that are on the market. In the shoulder, if I can avoid catching my jacket, yeah, it feels pretty good. I'm not a massive fan of this shape of forend here. I prefer slightly more rounded edges. It's just very flat on the bottom. Great for putting a bipod on, great for shooting off a sandbag. It's not overly flat, and nor is it overly wide, but just personally for my preference, I prefer a more rounded finish that some people will probably take very well to this. Length of pull is a little bit long for me, but that is the case on quite a few rifles. This rifle is actually an old Husqvarna model 1900. That's no bad thing, because Husqvarna, which is a Swedish gun maker, were very, very well known for producing some excellent, very well made and constructed rifles, and they would last a lifetime. So it made very good sense for Zoli to take a tried and tested rifle and design and then put their own stamp on it and a few little flares and finishing touches to make it their own. So what do we have? We've got a twin lug design. Slight difference here is instead of having square lugs, we actually have dovetail lugs, which gives a slightly bigger bearing surface on the back. So nice and chunky and strong. I can't see there ever being an issue with these. Enclosed bolt face, same Remington 700. It's got a Seiko style extractor and the standard sprung plunger ejector that most people will be very familiar with. The shaft itself is clean. I can see where the back of the lugs bear on the inside of the action, and I don't think we're getting 100% contact there, but very few rifles will offer that. Looking to the rear of the bolt, and we've got this bolt handle here, and I brought this up on the original rifle. I just didn't really like the bolt handle, not in shape or form, but it's just big, shiny and silver. You know, for a hunting rifle, we want to be stealthy, but then I suppose we've got a shiny stock on this as well, so it kind of goes with the rifle. In terms of cycling, it's smooth. It's very smooth, in fact. The bolt handle is just about perfect. It sticks out a little bit further than quite a few other rifles that I have a chance to play with, but that's no bad thing. It certainly doesn't stick out too much, and it's very easy to bring your hand up on top of it. Cams over nice and positively. To the rear of that, we've got the bolt shroud, which, like on the original, is a big, chunky, solid affair all made of metal. What is different here, and this is the big change, is the way that this rifle cocks. Now, so many rifles these days have cocking levers, so they've introduced this into the Zoli as well. If I want to uncock it, what I have to do is I have to press this lever in at the back and push this little side lever. And there we go, and if I lift the bolt, it's now not cocked. And you can feel it when you drop the bolt down, because it's not actually engaging anything, because the firing pin is sitting at rest, it's not under tension. In this position, with the cocking lever out, you can't lift the bolt. So everything's locked down, you can't inadvertently knock it open and eject the case. So you could have this loaded with a cartridge in and it be on safe. If you want to fire, you simply push this lever in at the back and that's it. You're ready to go. If you decide that you don't want to take the shot and you want to put it back on safe, you depress it with your thumb and push this lever in. So I don't think it's the most ergonomic of systems, but it does work. And once you get used to it and you've practiced a little bit, you can do it fairly smoothly and pretty quickly, but it will take a little while just to get used to it. Bolt release on the left hand side, this is also different. On the original Zoli I tested, to remove the bolt you depress the trigger, much in the same way as you do in a rimfire CZ. It's fine for a rimfire, it's not something I particularly like on a full bore rifle. It can go wrong, you get some crud in there, and the sear stays down. All of a sudden you've gone to reload and you've got a bolt in one hand and a rifle in the other. Not a position you want to be in. They've done away with that, and we've got a bolt release on the left hand side, which I am very, very pleased to see. Flipping it upside down, we get to the bottom assembly. Now, the magazine looks okay. In terms of design, it's as reliable as they get. It's a straight stack design, feeds without any issue whatsoever. It's got metal sides, but it's got a rather ugly plastic bottom. I don't really have too much of an issue with it being a plastic bottom, but I just think that Zoli could have finessed it a little bit. It's in place nice and securely, but you do have to make sure that you give it a good firm press and hear it click in, just like that. To release it, you've got the magazine release inside the trigger guard here. You just press that forward and this pops out. And there's metal finished in a different different coating to the polished blue of the rest of the rifle. This is some sort of nitride type finish. I'm not sure exactly what it is, and this is a cast piece of alloy that goes in here. But overall, nicely fitted, flush with the bottom of the rifle. And opening the rifle up, see the bottom metal assembly also has the magazine well molded as part of it. So that all comes away as a single unit. Just drop the stock out. We can see here inlet, as you would expect, sealed so that if any moisture gets in here, the wood isn't going to expand, so that's good to see. There isn't any bedding at the front, and I really thought there would be. There wasn't on the original, but I thought they might have done it because so many manufacturers do it now. There is, however, a little aluminium pillar at the back. You can see, if you look in here, that it would sit flush with the back action screw here, so the rear tang would be able to bed down on top of that. However, if you turn it over, you'll see it's a good couple of mil shy of actually touching the bottom metal here. I'll put the stock down and have a look at the metal work. Fairly straightforward, simple affair. One really big plus point, as I always say this when it comes to looking at the recoil lug mechanism of a rifle, is that this recoil lug here is formed as part of the original block of metal, the bar stock that the receiver was milled from. This is basically a round receiver, but you can see here this very thick, substantial recoil lug, straight walled on all sides, came from the original piece of metal. That is pretty much the strongest design you can get. And that really is the rifle. This particular one is in 6.5-55, so I'm very much looking forward to shooting it. It's one of my favourite calibers as well, and I've not shot one for quite a while. So tomorrow I'm going to head up to the range and we'll get this on paper. The last one shot pretty well. I'm expecting that this one is not going to disappoint either. This Zoli is a nice rifle to shoot, especially with the moderator that came with it from Edgar Brothers. Very soft shooting indeed. The trigger, having shot it a little bit more now, it just has a very slight hesitation just at the front end. Well, it certainly did at the start. It seems to have disappeared now, so it could just be everything polishing off. It was a brand new rifle when I got it. Also, the barrel won't have been broken in. Brand new barrel. At the moment, it's shooting almost right on the 1 inch mark, which is perfectly respectable for a hunting rifle. And that seems to be about the ballpark with all the shots that I've fired. We've got this group here, which is a nice triangle, so that you know you've got consistency there. That's about the inch mark. This group here is not quite as good and just slightly over the inch. But this is pretty much representative of where this rifle's been shooting for me. It's not ideal conditions today. A bit of hand loading and maybe a little bit less wind, and you'll probably shrink that to just under the inch mark. So that's pretty much where you want to be. I know 1 or 2 people who shoot some of the older Zolis, and they absolutely love them. Very accurate rifles once you get a load that suits them nicely, and from what I've seen and heard, very reliable as well. So I'm sure that this Zoli is going to do just fine.
Well, that's it for this week. Thanks for watching. Please like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter. And if you're not a member of Basque, it's time to join now. Basque, looking after your sport, looking after you. This has been The Shooting Show.